Don't care if there's a hater hating on me.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Noon Scorpio Moon Tarot. I'm Noon. Before we get into this video, please, if this reading resonates, give my video a like, comment, and a subscription. It would really mean a lot to me. And I really hope this reading resonates. Today we have a very interesting reading. These are all from the same deck, my Black Moon deck astrology deck, which is my favorite because I'm also an astrology girl. I do both. Get into it. So today we're going to be asking the question of who are you? And while I was shuffling this deck, I just remember saying a prayer, like this candle, just like having the people who need this reading come to me like a moth to a flame. So I really hope this reading resonates. I did one for myself before I shuffled and distributed the decks, which is what I always do, just so I can get my energy out of there and distinguish my energy from my viewer's energy. So we're going to ask the question again, who are you? You know, how do you perceive yourself? What is your ego like? And when I say ego, I mean the face that we present to the world. And what are you like really behind closed doors? How do you perceive yourself? And how does the world perceive you? And what is something that you don't necessarily see about yourself? You know, what's the blind spot? So those are the questions we're going to be asking today. So we have our oils here. It smells amazing, guys. I think it might be the candle, but also like the oils, like A1. So for pile 1, we have the All Saints oil. For pile 2, we have Star. For pile 3, we have my PTAH oil. For pile 4, we have my 125th Street oil. For pile 5, we have my SIREN oil. And for pile 6, we have KEISHA Gold. Just KEISHA Gold. Come on, focus. Yes, KEISHA Gold. So again, pile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you need some time to meditate, or if you're already instantly attracted to one of these piles, please feel free to skip ahead. If not, then yeah, I'll see you at your reading. I really hope it resonates. All right, so everyone who chose All Saints oil, or All Saints oil, let's get into your reading. So we're going to be asking the question of who you are, how you present yourself, and what you are really like behind closed doors, how you perceive yourself, and how the world perceives you, and what's a blind spot about yourself that you don't necessarily see easily. So this is who you are, your ego, okay, what you're really like behind closed doors, how you perceive yourself, how the world perceives you, and what don't you necessarily see about yourself. Okay. So I think you like to be perceived as very intellectual. I think you like to be perceived as the smartest person in the room. Let me explain. So we have Mercury here for how you present yourself to the world. And Mercury is all about the mind. Mercury is about third house things relating to Gemini, things relating to Virgo. So you might present yourself to be this very perfectionistic, very intellectual person who's very who's very cerebral. You might be a bit quiet because you're so in your head, or the very opposite of that, you may be very loquacious. Loquacious means to be very talkative. You might love to talk. You might love to be on social media. You might love talking to your friends. You might chat up a person on the street, and I think that's the person that you present. That's the person that you want the world to see. That's the person that you want the world to see. It's, you know, it is a part of who you are, but that's who you want the world to see. You want the world to see you as a very intellectual person who's very capable of conversation, who's very capable of being a good communicator. You might do public speaking. You might have done debate team. You might be in social media. You might be you might be an influencer. You might also be just an influencer. You might really love talking to people, whether it's an actual person or like a crowd of people, getting into the subconscious of the collective. Yeah, being an influencer. That may be the persona that you're portraying to the world. That you're intellectual, you can carry conversation, public speaking. You're capable of speaking very eloquently and getting your message across. Getting your message across really well to the world, and allowing you having a special message in the world and giving that to the people, or just just individually. You just like really like you like being in conversation. You just like being in conversation with people. I know that was a lot. That was a lot of messages, but yeah, it's very mercurial of me. With the Mercury card to just kind of go off and keep going, and my mind is just receiving all these messages on what the possibility could be with you, pile one. So yeah, I think I spoke a lot just now. Very Mercury. So, and who you are behind closed doors, pile one, you are also very Capricorn like in your private world. So you might like have a business. You might work very hard. You might really enjoy things that are of high quality. Capricorn being an earth sign, it's a very sensual sign, like senses, like the six senses. You might be very efficient in using your resources. You may come from a place where resources appear to be a bit limited or scattered, or you really have to go and make your own. So I feel like you really have a great ability to make your own and do it behind closed doors and do it private. Excuse me. You might be very reserved. You might feel very tied to your destiny, and that's who you are. You're working towards some destiny behind closed doors. You could be very boring. I'm not even gonna lie, guys. Like, you could be a boring person behind closed doors. Like, not to say that you're a boring I am saying that. But you could be quite dry. Like, maybe people would expect you to have a more exciting private life, but you like to just kind of stay in with your turtleneck and your tea. If you know what I mean. Like, you don't, it's not super lively. It's a bit dry in your life that you don't present to the world. Like, outside of being like this super communicative, super lively, communicative person behind closed doors, it's a bit dry for you. And maybe it's just like a steady, calm, quiet type of life in your private life. And that's okay. Find peace. Like, have your peace. Absolutely. I feel that. Okay. So let's move on to how you perceive yourself. So how you perceive yourself, we have the card Neptune, which is sacrifice. Neptune has to do with Pisces, illusions, the 12th house, things, losses, Hollywood, that stuff. So I think how you perceive yourself, I feel like you perceive yourself as, I'm getting really strongly, this sort of mythic figure. You might, I don't know, you might feel like a princess. You perceive yourself as this very dreamy person. This person who is so beautiful. This person who is like the stuff of dreams. You are the stuff of dreams. You are ethereal. You perceive yourself as this person who, like, is you might be a very creative person, okay? One, you might be an extremely creative person. You might perceive yourself as a person who is quite maybe psychically in tuned as well. I think you perceive yourself as like, you know, mermaid or something. I don't know, there's something about the water that you really enjoy. Something about the water that you really love. I think you just enjoy being this kind of like ditzy, like star girl type of girl, or star person, sorry. Let me not assume, but yeah, you might perceive yourself as this ethereal, like, oh, you're in love with me, everyone's in love with me, everyone has to be in love with me because I am just this person who is so, like, how could you not? I'm a dream, I'm an absolute dream, I'm a dreamboat. And people are attracted to me, people just come into my life. But you know what, also, you may perceive yourself as someone who's very susceptible to being emotionally, psychologically, spiritually overwhelmed. You might be a super empath. You might be the empath, you know what I mean? And you go into a room and you just take everything and you just soak up everything. Every emotion, every feeling just like soaks up into your body. So you may be an empath. You may perceive yourself as like, okay, these people are coming to me and like spilling their guts and all that, and like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for you to tell me about your trauma. Like, I don't know what gave you the indication that I would be willing to hear this, but go off, because you know everyone needs an ear. You might be a very super sensitive person, and people can sense that, and you might unfortunately attract people who maybe don't have your best interest in mind at times. You might attract people who are particularly broken, and you see that about yourself. You perceive that about yourself, that you attract people who are broken, who need fixing, who need helping, who need saving, where you need to sacrifice a part of yourself in order to help the greater good of humanity. So you might be a humanitarian, you might really love people, you might be very open to helping people, open to giving people an ear to listen to, a place to just let their souls hang out. And that's how you see yourself. You may see yourself as a bit of a martyr, like a savior. You may have a savior complex to some degree. That was a mouthful. So this is how the world perceives you. And we have fire element, desire. I feel like the world perceives you as this firecracker that just keeps going off and off and off. Like you are so full of life, you're so full of passion, you're so full of energy. You could be very, very sexually attractive as well. Sexually charged person, like a lot of sex appeal, like you're just smoking hot, but you have a lot of passion, you have a lot of just fire in your life. People perceive you as just someone who is, very, very headstrong. It's just going after what they want in life, no compromise, being very loud, taking up a lot of space. People perceive you as taking up a lot of space, and rightfully so. I would say, personally. There's no shortage of passion in your heart, passion in your life. That's how people perceive you. But like we said here, we don't really know if things are really like that right now. It could be very slow paced, like in your private life, things is very slow paced. Things are, not this, kind of like, when the asteroid comes into the atmosphere, is like this ball of burning light. It's not like that, but people perceive you that way. People definitely perceive you that way. So what do you miss about yourself? What is it? Your blind spot. Your blind spot is represented in the card Gemini, I think. So what I think that you miss about yourself, pile one, is that you have a very distinct dual nature about yourself. I feel like you present yourself as this very, you know, loquacious person, and Mercury and Gemini are ruled by the same, it's like they're tied together astrologically. But I feel like this more has to do with like turning on and turning off, like knowing when to exert your energy. Like, I know when to be this person, I know when to be that person. And also, I think what you miss, you don't give yourself enough credit for how, again, just like I think Mercury confirms it, how communicative and how loquacious and how extroverted you can really be. How, yeah, just I feel like there's a dual nature about you. I feel like you have one persona that you present to the world, another persona you present to another world, or like different personas that you present during different circumstances. And I think that's something that you do very well. Like, you know when to be on, you know when to be off, you know when to use specific mannerisms in certain settings with certain groups of people. You have a real good feel of that. I think that's something that you don't necessarily see. And maybe, you know, with the Mercury card here, you also just like don't perceive like how you're presenting yourself to the world. The way you present yourself to the world is something that you don't really have a definitive, objective view on. So you may not perceive yourself as this very loquacious person, but that's who you are. That's exactly who you are. That's exactly who you are, and you don't see that about yourself. And maybe that's gotten you into trouble sometimes, honestly. Like, you being so loquacious, you being so open-mouthed, like blah 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 blah, it might have gotten you into trouble sometimes. You don't see that. You don't see how much you can actually be that way. Okay, pile one, I think I'm gonna cut it here. I hope this reading resonated with you. If it did, please give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and I will see you in my next reading. Bye. Hi, pile two, those who chose our star oil. Boop, 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 boop. Let's get into your reading. So I'm going to draw 6 cards. No, 5 cards, actually, my bad. So these cards are representative of who you are, how you perceive yourself, how the world perceives you, and a blind spot about you that you don't necessarily see. So this is who you are. This is how you perceive. This is how, you know, you present yourself to the world. This is what you're really like, you know, outside of the ego, outside of what you present to the world. How you perceive yourself, how you ultimately perceive yourself, and how the world perceives you, and then what is a blind spot that you have about yourself that you don't necessarily see. Okay, let's get into it. So this is how you present yourself to the world. Okay, so you have Scorpio. You may present yourself as this very intense figure. You have a lot of driving force. You have a lot of really just visceral energy that comes from like this really deep part of your reservoir of power, and you present that self to the world. You present yourself as a very powerful person. You present yourself as someone who's also very capable of transforming themselves, who's very capable of change, who's able to go along with the flow. Someone who has a lot of sex appeal as well. That's how you present yourself to the world. You present yourself as maybe someone who's a bit closed off and reserved, like I'm an introvert type of deal. You might present yourself as someone who's very guarded. You know, this is your ego, like I said, so this isn't necessarily who you are exactly, but this is who it could be. But for our last pile, we got a double confirmation. They had Mercury in this position and Gemini in this position. It was like, oh, you see this about yourself. You present yourself this way, but you don't necessarily realize that you're presenting yourself this way. This is how you're presenting yourself to the world. You're presenting yourself as a powerful person, someone who has sex appeal, someone who is a bit guarded, someone who's maybe a bit of a loner, someone who maybe is a bit rich, someone who may have some inheritance. I don't know. Like maybe you present yourself as like a sugar baby, someone who is, working someone else's money. Maybe that's a character you like to play. That, oh, I'm going to my sugar daddy's house. Or I have all these rich men on me, or I have all this rich people on me, Okay, so this is what you're really like behind closed doors. And we have grand trine blessings. So you may be someone who has a lot of talent in behind closed doors. Like people might be surprised with how talented you really are. You might have a very smooth existence. Like you don't see this. You like this is what you're like behind. You might have a very blessed life. Excuse me. You might have a life where, you were like the gymnast. You were like a high achiever, and it just came to you so naturally. All the blessings that in your life, you're like, wow, I have a really blessed life. Like, it just kind of came to you so naturally because it was your God-given right. It was your God-given gifts. That's what you're like behind closed doors, just enjoying the blessings that you've received in your life. Maybe you might be living a very comfortable life right now. You might be living a very blessed life where opportunity is just, so open for you. Love is so open for you. Opportunity is so open for you. The possibilities are just, it's looking very good for you. Let's just say that, okay? Life is looking really good for you right now. That's what you're like in your private life behind closed doors, really living it up, or just, being extraordinarily gifted, whether that's, in a hobby sense or just in life, having money or just having a great amount of talent. You're enjoying that. Comfort. Nice. All right, so this is how you perceive yourself. You might perceive yourself as a family person, someone who's extremely tied to their family, someone who's very mother-like, who's extremely nurturing, someone who is a homebody, maybe. You're a bit of a homebody. And you don't mind that. You actually love that. You perceive yourself as someone who could be a good mother, or a good mother type figure, very nurturing figure. Someone who is, very tied to, the home. Maybe you perceive yourself as a good cook. You perceive yourself as a good decorator, a good homebody. A good foundation, like someone could depend on you. You might perceive yourself as very dependable, like you could very much nurture something or someone, and you could do a very good job. That's how you perceive yourself. So this is how the world perceives you. The world perceives you, 9th house, faith. This is tied to Sagittarius. This is tied to the 9th house, Jupiter. People may perceive you as someone who's very lucky, someone who is living a life, someone who just kind of like is running life purely just based on faith. You're just going in a direction, and this great stuff is just happening to you. It's like, wow. I think people perceive you as very spiritual, very into God. You might be a religious person, or you're very deeply into spirituality. People perceive you as someone who has a lot of faith in life, a lot of faith in God. Like you kind of just know things are going to be okay. And you're lucky too, because grand trine blessings appeared underneath the 9th house, and 9th house is a very lucky house because it's the house of Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet of luck, planet of higher education. Oh yeah, people may perceive you as very educated as well, very intelligent, like you just have this vast reservoir of knowledge. It's very nice to see. So what is a blind spot that you may not necessarily perceive about yourself that is going to come to light now? You may have things that need to be taken care of before you can really move forward. You might have debts, like literal debts, that, you know, you're not necessarily seeing right now. You might have cycles, karmic cycles, that still need to be cleared. You might have some karma that still needs to be cleared. Debts that need to be paid off. Or just like you also might be living in your South Node energy. And what that means, if you pull up your birth chart and you go to your North Node, if you know anything about astrology, that's that sign, the opposite of that sign will be your South Node. And that's, you might, so for instance, like for example, I have a Virgo North Node or a Leo North Node, depending on which system you use. So the opposite of Virgo is Pisces, and the opposite of Leo is Aquarius. So our North Node is, you know, the life that we're constantly working towards, a life that we're constantly chasing after, the purpose, the energy that we should be living in order to properly fulfill our life's purpose. So when we're living in our South Node energy, that means we're kind of just living in the past. You could be living in the past. You might be especially nostalgic, and that could be to your detriment sometimes. Maybe because like you're such a homebody, you love to be at home so much, and you know, being at home is so comfortable to you that kind of being in that energy, being not coming back to, not going towards new energy is kind of keeping you stuck. Staying at home, you're just staying with what is familiar, what you already know. You know, so yeah, like I said, if I have a Virgo North Node and I'm living in my Pisces South Node energy, that means that, you know, I'm, you know, just being too, I think a better example would be my Leo. Okay, so, you know what, just forget it. I'm sorry. I'm going off on astrology right now. It'll take too much time to explain. I just think that you're living in an energy that isn't, like, it's cool to go back and forth between our North Node and our South Node energy, but I think you might be living very heavily in your South Node energy. Energy that, you know, you're very comfortable with and you're comfortable functioning in, and you being content because my friend, you're very lucky. Like I said, you're a very lucky person. You have good faith, good luck. So because you have this, you might be very content. You might be very content where you are, and you might not be very open to seeing that there is so much more to gain, there's so much more to change. Okay, you might have such comfort that you're just content with it, and you don't necessarily desire anything else, so you're just content with where you're at. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, I see you're good. Like I feel like you're good, but you're very comfortable. But don't get too stuck in that energy, or else it really might just like not. It will keep you stuck in a situation that you don't want to be in. Okay. All right, pile 2. That was your reading. I'm going to cut it off here. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye. Hi, pile 3. Those who chose my PTAH oil. This is your reading. So we're going to do 6 cards. So this card is going to represent who you are, who you present yourself to the world, how you present yourself to the world, what you're like behind closed doors, actually, how you perceive yourself, how the world perceives you, and what is a blind spot about yourself that you don't necessarily see. My hands are a bit cold. Okay, so this is how you present yourself to the world, your ego. Jupiter return, benefits. Interesting. you might present yourself as someone who's very lucky, like, oh, look how lucky I am, look how abundant I am, look how spiritually knowledgeable I am, look how, you know, I think you present yourself as a bit of a know-it-all, a bit of a smartass, a bit of a you really enjoy showing people your luck and how lucky you are. I feel like that's a part of your persona. You might be someone who is of well means, and you like to show that off to people. Like, oh, look, I got the newest bag. Ooh, look, I got the newest skincare product. Ooh, look at me, I got the newest car. Ooh, look at me, I got all this going on. Yeah, I think you thoroughly enjoy showing that off to people. You enjoy showing like how well you're doing in life. You enjoy showing off. You might, yeah, I feel like you just enjoy showing people that you're intelligent, you're lucky, you're wealthy, you're healthy, you're such a lucky person. Oh, I'm so lucky, like I'm so blessed, you know what I mean? Like, stay blessed. And you have like a Bugatti in the background. Not saying that, but you know, this is just the energy. You know, you present yourself as like, stay blessed, you know. You could have all of this if you just work hard, and you're good at flexing. You like to flex. This is my flexor group. You like to flex hard. You love to flex. Yes. All about that. So this is what you're really like in behind closed doors. So we have fifth house. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I even say which card this was? Jupiter return, benefits. I'm sure you saw it, but yeah. So this is what you're like behind closed doors. You're very, 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 very playful, very childlike, very I'm the star of my own show energy. Like I'm the main character. Like so what you flex is like how you feel. You know what I mean? Like you flex and you say, "Wow, look at all the things that I have," and like you think you're the main character in your own like sitcom or something. You know, you love to play. You love to, you know, put on a show for people. And so I think what you do, yes, you like to put on a show for people. You like to flex. So how you present yourself is how you really are in your private life. You're a big flexer. You love to be the center of attention. You love being, you know, the star of the show. You really enjoy that. You could have children at home, or you're just very childlike. You might have some childlike hobbies. You might, you know, I don't know, you might sing in the shower. You might be that type of person to just put on a show just at home. You might be very creative also, obviously, in your downtime. You might like to paint, you might like to sing, you might like to dance. You might be I'm getting like Hollywood. You're like Hollywood type of person. Like you like putting on the Hollywood show, you know, in like quote unquote commoner life. Like you love flexing for the gram. You love going to the gym, and like, you know, maybe you're an actor, maybe you're pursuing a career in modeling or acting or what have you. That's something that involves like you being the star of your own show, maybe coming to Hollywood, going to, you know, just being in front of a camera. You know, you might be planning on being an actress if you're not already. Yeah. So this is how you perceive yourself. I cannot wait to see how you perceive yourself, pile 2. Interesting. Yes. You feel like you have, okay. You feel like you perceive yourself as someone who has had a lot of lessons. You've been through a lot, and you just can't escape your destiny. Like, this is my destiny. I need to go after this. What I'm going after towards is my destiny. I can't escape my destiny. And I feel like you've learned so many lessons to get to this point and actually fulfill the destiny that you perceive yourself as, you know, needing to accomplish or as having. You've been through the rings, and, you know, you've gotten to this point. So I think you perceive yourself as a very, as someone who's been through it, who's been a hard worker. And if you are flexing, you know, I think you actually have a right to do that, because, you know, you've been through the hurdles, you've been through the really tough lessons, and I think now you might just be either enjoying your success, or, you know, whether it's just putting on a show. You've put in a lot of work to put on this show, and to put on this persona, and to, you know, do all these things that you're trying to do with creativity. You know, maybe being a painter, an actor, a model, what have you. Whatever it is to that degree, or playwriter, you know, or just, you know, working with kids. Even you might be a teacher, but, you know, you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot to get to where you are, and you perceive yourself as, you know, I'm here, and I can't escape my destiny, and I'm not going to run away from my destiny. I can't do that. You know, I refuse to do that. Anything that is not my destiny is not for me, and I don't need to entertain it. Yep. Big Leo energy here, big Hollywood type energy. Okay, so this is how the world perceives you. Lilith, Black Moon Lilith mystery. Interesting. Because, my dear pile 3, PTAH oil, you are such a flexor. You have all this creative energy. I feel like people perceive you as someone who is a bit, people are that you stir up a reaction in people that is not like them. You trigger them. You trigger people. You might have lost a few friends along this journey. You might have lost a considerable amount of friends, actually, because of this journey. Like, people want to reject you. People feel like they have to reject you. People see you as kind of like this black sheep, like this kind of person who's a bit untouchable. Maybe people want to hate on you, like, for no reason. Like, people be hating. Like, they see you doing all this great stuff, and people be hating. Like, this was supposed, okay, like, you have haters. You have haters who perceive you as, like, you know, this person who's just doing something completely different, completely straying from the norm, you know, you might come from a small town. You might come from a background where it's like A, B, C, D. You know, it's very like, you do this, you go to work, you come back home, you go to sleep, rinse and repeat. And you completely stray away from that norm, and people see you as like, who the is this person? Who is this person? And, you know, they see you as just like, whoa, unique, super unique, completely out of the ordinary. Like, I'm like a, you know, anomaly. They see you as this just like anomaly that is like, who are you? What are you? I'm not used to this energy at all. Oh my God. People might be intrigued by that as well. You know, people might be very intrigued by your essence, your magic. Who are you? You know, it could very much range from, wow, who are you, to like, who the fuck are you? Like, you know what I mean? It can very much range from that, from both extremes. So I think you might either really inspire people or really turn people off. Like, you get people inspired, you get people fired up, and then, or you just like retract an unreasonable amount of hate from people. But bitches be mad. But you know what? When you got energy like this, and you're flexing, and you're doing the show, you know, and you're creating this persona, and you're being this person. I see you're a genuine person. I get the energy that you're a genuine person, honestly, and you just have a lot of confidence. And it's like, yeah, I deserve this. I deserve, after everything I've been through, yes, I do. I deserve to be like this. Okay, this is a blind spot. This last card is a blind spot, something that you don't maybe necessarily see about yourself. Communication. Air element, communicating. You might be very aloof. Like, you might think that, okay, Aquarius. You might be an Aquarius. You might be a Gemini. You might be a Libra. Okay, let's get into it. Guys. You could be very emotionally superficial. You are a superficial person. You don't see that. You think you're this genuine person who's just keep going and doing all these things. You don't recognize that because you're doing all these things at the expense of just actually creating genuine, close human connection. And not, maybe not in the way that Libra does, but Libra can be very superficial. Aquarius, hell yeah, are you kidding me? Super superficial. They don't understand emotions. Gemini, Gemini, yeah, Gemini can't. They can be aloof, okay? And what I'm saying is air elements can be very aloof and not necessarily super emotionally in tuned. And I get the sense that you may not be super emotionally intelligent when it comes to communicating with other people. When it comes to how people perceive you, you may not be aware that you can hurt people. You cannot, you like the way you're so focused on yourself, focused on, you know, creating this world around you. I feel like you will, as a result of that, you kind of miss the mark emotionally with people and actually communicating with people on a genuine level. Maybe because you just try to be so busy and you just kind of forget how to be human sometimes. That's a blind spot about you. Don't forget to come back to earth every now and then, my love. Okay? Alright, so that's the message for you, pile 3. Thank you so much for watching. If this reading resonated, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I love you. I hope you have a great day. Bye. See you in my next video. Hello to those who chose my awesome Patal oil, the 125th Street oil, okay? Harlem. So, we have 6 cards for you today, pile 3, pile 4, I believe, actually, my bad. And this card right here will show us how you present yourself to the world. And this is what you're really like behind closed doors. This will be how you perceive yourself. This will be how the world perceives you, and a blind spot about yourself, something that you don't necessarily perceive, something that's not all the way you're aware of. So let's get into it. First card, what do you present? How do you present yourself to the world? You present yourself as you're one of those people. Okay, you love your friends. You're a very friendly person. You have a lot of friends. We get it. I'm sorry, I'm a hater. It is what it is. You present yourself as someone who has a vast amount of friends. Like, you have all these friends. You're friends with this person. I'm friends with this person, and you're friends with this person. Like, you go to a place and you just like have friends abound. Like, you have so many friends. Your friends are so awesome. You love your friends. Your friends are here. Your friends are there. Your friends are doing. You might hype up your friends a lot. You just might be a really good friend. You might posture yourself as to be a very good friend, or a very popular person who has a lot of friends. That might be your personality. Like, your personality is very much dependent on your friends. Or you're just a good friend. Like, you just have great friends, and it's so great to have great friends. It's so fun to have great friends. You know? My friends. Like, look at my friends. Look how cool my friends are. Like, my friends. You might... Okay, so the 11th house correlates with Aquarius, correlates with genius, correlates with sociability, correlates with humanitarian issues. So you might also posture yourself to be a humanitarian type of person, someone who's very innovative in their thinking, innovative in their ability to accept people, innovative in the way that maybe you want to do charity. I don't know, maybe you want a nonprofit, maybe you want to have a nonprofit, maybe you are active in nonprofit work. Possibility. But I'm getting very strongly that, you just love your friends. You love your friends a lot, and you posture yourself to be a person who has friends. And that's what you want the world to see. I think feel like you want people to know that you're friends with certain people because it looks good. Like, it looks good for you. Like, you look how socially connected I am. Look how yeah, how much social currency I have. But you just love people. You're a person who loves people. You're a person who loves people. You love to be in communication with people. You love interacting with people. You're a lover of the people. You might be a hippie. A bit of a hippie. You might have hippie tendencies. Or something that, you know, when I say hippie, I mean people who are really about, like, love, light, and positivity, like birds, flowers, trees, and happiness type of energy. I love that. Sorry if I sounded a bit salty earlier. Like, it's been tough for me. Like, being in the friend department has been a tough experience for me, and I'm sorry if that came across a little salty on my end. I'll be transparent. Friendships haven't been the easiest for me. So this is how you are behind closed doors. Sagittarius, I see. You're constantly learning. You're constantly educating yourself. You're constantly, exploring the next thing, exploring your passions, exploring the possibilities, exploring spirituality, exploring the every corner of whatever reservoir of knowledge that you can explore. Like, you might be a very curious, inquisitive person behind closed doors. I would say Sagittarius is very intellectual. You know, they're very smart people because they are knowledge. They are a representative of knowledge. So you might be very intellectual behind closed doors. You might be very spiritual. You might be a bit antsy also. You might just like flying from here to there, from there to here, up here and down the street. So you could be flighty. You could be just going from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. So it's like hopping around. I don't want to say that, but you explore your interests very passionately and very vastly. Like, you don't limit yourself to what you can be, what you can explore. It's a very good quality to have. So this is how you perceive yourself. This card down here. 6th house of routine. You perceive yourself as someone who might be a bit perfectionistic, someone who likes things done a certain way, having some type of system in place in your life, some type of order in your life. You might perceive yourself maybe as being a bit too overly concerned with your health and your routine. You might be someone who is also just anxious. You might perceive yourself like, oh my god, I'm so OCD. Like, you might say that to yourself sometimes. Like, oh, I'm so OCD. I'm so perfectionist. I like my things a certain way. I like my things done a certain way, in a certain system, in a certain time, in a certain fashion. Very particular. You might perceive yourself as someone who's very healthy. You know, someone who does take care of themselves, someone who does take care of their health, who has a system in place that works for them. You know, someone who's very organized. So you might perceive yourself as someone who likes to be very organized and very particular. Someone who, you know, prefers to have a set routine, not necessarily doing the same things every day, which is a bit of a contradiction. Can I just say it's a bit of a contradiction? Because in your private life, we said that, what did we say? We were like, oh, you just do this and that, and you kind of just fly from here to there. But you perceive yourself as doing it in a very methodical way, in a very organized and a very structured way. You're not just going from here to here, and you have like, you know that you do these things, but you do it in a very purposeful, very organized kind of way. Yeah. Very interesting. So you're flying off the handles, but you're doing it with grace and with control. So this is how the world perceives you. North Node. Interesting. Very nice. The world perceives you as someone who is going after their destiny, who is fulfilling their destiny, who is going after their life's purpose, who is living their life's purpose. People perceive you as, you know, if you have your birth chart ready, if you are familiar with your birth chart and you know what your north node is, people may perceive you of what that sign is. So for instance, if you're, say, an Aquarius, but your north node is in Leo, or let's get a better example, your north node is in Taurus, people are going to perceive, even though you're an Aquarius, people perceive you as very Taurus-like. Which is very cool. So people perceive you as going towards your destiny for sure, as fulfilling your destiny, fulfilling your life's purpose. You're living your life's purpose. You're living your life. Like, you're really living life like it's golden. That's how they perceive you. That's how the world perceives you. So what is a blind spot that we have about yourself? So a blind spot, yes, so, okay. So what did I say earlier? Before we get into this card, what did I say earlier? We said that, you know, you're flying from one thing to the next. You're exploring your passions very vividly, very passionately, but you feel like you're going at it in a very methodical type of way. You don't, so yeah, we said that these two energies were a bit opposing, and it's like you're doing all this, but you're perceiving yourself this way, which is not of this, you know what I mean, of a Sagittarius nature. So your blind spot, sorry, there was a bug on my camera. Your blind spot is that you are absolutely jumping from one thing to the next, and you know, you have all these things going on. It's very passionate, it's very fiery, it's like a firecracker, like just like one idea after the next, one hobby after the next, one idea, one reservoir of knowledge to the next. Like, you don't necessarily see that about yourself, because you're perceiving yourself in this sixth house energy, which is, oh, like I'm going about this like routinely, I'm going about this in a very structured way, I'm going about this in a very methodical type of way. Like, you may perceive that about yourself, but it's not what's happening. You're actually you're a lot more, you know, unrestrained in your ways than you think, than you can currently perceive about yourself. Like, you may think that you're going at it in a very, you know, 1, 2, 3 ABC way, but you're actually just like, it's just passion is what's driving you. That's what you're going after. So you don't see this about yourself. You don't see that you're actually, you know, but it's okay. Okay, pile 4, this was your reading. I'm going to cut it off here. I hope this reading resonated. If it did, please give this video a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Hello, pile 5, everybody who chose my SIREN oil. This is your reading. So we're gonna draw 5 cards. This card is how you present yourself to the world. This card is how you actually are in your private life. This card will be how you perceive yourself and how the world perceives you, and what is a blind spot about yourself that you don't necessarily see right now. Which card is that? Okay, that's the first one. This has a little bit of glare on it. So this is how you present yourself to the world. Okay, we have the first body. You present yourself as someone who's very confident, someone who gives a lot of attention to their body, someone who gives a lot of attention to their appearance, how they present themselves to the world. You might be overly concerned with how you look. You might be, or you just might really enjoy decorating yourself. You might really enjoy decorating your body, taking care of your body, looking good, making sure your hair is good, making sure your nails are good, your teeth are good, your suit's good, what have you. You give a lot of attention to your appearance and how you're perceived in the world and how people perceive you. You give a lot of attention to that. It's very much like, oh, look at me, I'm so confident, I'm so this, I'm so that. Like, you want to present yourself as someone who's very confident, who's very capable, who's very powerful. You want to present yourself this way to the world. And you want to put your best foot forward. And so you make sure that you look good. You have to make sure that you look good. Are you kidding me? The inside has to match the outside. So you want to present yourself as someone who's confident, who's someone who's well-dressed, well-behaved, well-rounded. So you might give a lot of attention to your social media accounts. You might give a lot of attention to how you're perceived in your friend circles. You might give a lot of attention to just your words. You might give a lot of, everything about you is like maybe almost out of a Sears catalog, if you know what that is, if you know what that means. You want to present yourself like you're off, you just came out the store. You came off the rack. So you might want to present yourself as someone who's very manufactured, but you want to appear to be very independent as well. You want the world to perceive you as someone who's very independent, who's very capable, who's very able to provide for themselves and be an independent person. You want to prove to the world that you are strong, you are independent, and you don't need anybody. You don't necessarily need people to fulfill your needs and to fulfill your desires, because you can very much do it on your own. More than capable to do it on your own. Okay, so this is how you actually are in private, beyond from the persona that you present to the world. And that's okay. And that's right. And that's right. And that's correct. I'm sorry. Like, you present yourself as someone who's very independent, and you really be living that, like, in your private life. Like, you comfy, you got money, you got a rain shower, waterfall, shower in your house. Like, you got a robe, you have a skincare routine, you have money to go out and eat every now and then, you got money to go, to Rodeo Drive every now and then. Like, you good, like, you have it, like, you are comfortable. You present yourself as someone who is this well put together person, and you be like that in your private life. Like, you cook, you eat good food, you have nice sheets, you have good hair care, you have good skin care, you're good, you comfy. Like, you might be a bit lazy too. Like, when you're lazy, you really are lazy. Like, you could also be very stubborn. You're so stubborn and you're so bullheaded because you just work so hard to have such a comfortable life, to have such independence. You have to be stubborn. So you might be a bit stubborn in your private life, or you're just a bit lazy. You like taking naps, and why wouldn't you? Because I think that you got good sheets to sleep on. You have nice sheets to sleep on. Your sheets were expensive. Your skincare routine is expensive. Your rent is expensive. These groceries are expensive. They're high quality. They're not from Key Food. They're from Whole Food. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but you live this independent life, this life of comfort that you've created for yourself. You be living that. You live that, and you breathe that. So this is how you perceive yourself. How do you perceive yourself? You perceive yourself as someone who is probably in their bedroom a lot, is very dreamy, very much does not like to leave their bedroom, very much does not like to leave the comfort of, like, their mind, or, like, you might be very cerebral. You perceive yourself as someone who's very, like, ditzy, maybe in their head a lot, like you prefer to be dreaming than actual real life, because I feel like this is a really hustle hard type of energy. So you perceive yourself as someone, what I'm getting is that you'd prefer to be in your dreams, because at least you can have a rest there. You perceive yourself as someone who's a bit escapist. Maybe, like, you're doing all these things to kind of, like, escape your problems. Like, you're putting on this persona, but that in your subconscious mind, there could be a bit of There could be a bit of turmoil. There could be a bit of just like problems that you have come from that you're trying to cover up with being such a hard worker, being so independent, having all these nice things, or desiring, at the very least, desiring these nice things, because you're escaping from whatever you've come from, wherever you were born into. You know, it was maybe a tough situation when you were young, and you might acknowledge that you have had to run really far away from this, and in order to do this, you've had to become this person who's very hardworking and has nice things and can provide for themselves. It might have been a tough early life, and you just want to forget it. You just want to heal it with being the most independent person you can be. Because if your needs weren't taken care of when you were younger, you work very, very diligently, and very very vigorously to be the person to provide for your inner child, or who you are. Like, you might have just come from difficult circumstance, and now you're all the way up, homie. and you acknowledge this about yourself. So this is how the world perceives you. We have Pluto transformation. Yeah. The world perceives you as someone who's been through hard times. The world perceives you as someone who has had to go through a lot of transformation, someone who has had to just kind of ride the wave of being at the absolute mercy of the universe, because you don't know when this is going to come. You don't know when the next job is going to come. You don't know when the next bed is going to come. You don't know when the next meal is going to come. Something of that nature, of just like, you don't know. You really don't know, like, how life is going to turn out for me. And people see that about you. People see that you've been through a lot. You've been through some heavy, very heavy, almost destructive energy in your life. Things trying to tear you down, to take you down, to really, beat you. Life has, people see that life has kind of come at you hard. They see you as very powerful, though. Extremely powerful, extremely capable. You are so capable, you are so driven, you are so mighty. You are a mighty person. People really see that about you, and they really admire that. I feel I would admire you. You've built up, from what I can see, you've built up quite a life for yourself, and you should be very proud. Everything that you've come to be here, everything that you've experienced to be here, to be an assertive person, to be a comfortable person. People see that hustle. People acknowledge that hustle. And I think a lot of people love you because of it. People really respect you because of it. I would, personally. So this is something that you don't necessarily see about yourself. A blind spot. That's kind of funny. So you have Saturn return age. I mean, it's not funny. It actually even makes a lot of sense. What you don't see about yourself is just how much you've had to do it on your own. Like, how much, or what I'm saying, forget what I said, actually. You might be the type of person who is so, like, you're so hardworking, you don't see that. It's coming from, like, frustration. It's coming from an energy source that is just, or you may have just blocked it out. Like, the reason why you're working so hard to provide for yourself, it might be a blind spot for you. Like, why you're working so hard, why you are trying to be in the position that it's because of frustration. It's because of karma. It's because of, situations that have really just lit a fire under your ass to become stable. Situations that might have been out of your control, that absolutely lit a fire under your ass and said, go. So you don't see it that way. you see it as you're just trying to escape it and just be the person that, you know, you want to be able to provide for yourself. But it's really because, you know, because of this, you know, karma and, you know, situations and things that were really much out of your control and in the universe's hands ultimately, that lit a fire under your ass to become this independent, self-sufficient person. And I don't think that you necessarily want to acknowledge that, especially with the escape. You know, what we talked about earlier with the escape card. So, pile 5, that was your reading. I hope this reading resonated. Thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe if this reading resonated, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Hi guys, sorry, my camera died. I had to let it just charge for a little while, so excuse the lighting. It's probably going to be a little, see that? A little glary. But yeah, Keisha Cole. Let's get into it. So, it's actually good because I have some darkness over here. So we're going to draw 5 cards. I've already pre-shuffled these, but, you know, shuffle them a little more, shuffle, shuffle. So this card represents who you present yourself to be to the world. This card here will represent how you really are in private. This card will represent how people perceive you. I can make this a little lighter. Give me 1 second, guys. And this card will represent how the world perceives you, how you perceive yourself, and how the world perceives you. And this card, this final card, will be a blind spot that you have about yourself. Push this a little further up here. Okay, so how do you present yourself to the world? Keisha Cole pile. You present yourself as a very fortunate person. You present yourself as someone who is always just like getting big gains. You might show off that, you know, you have good things going for you a lot, and, you know, you're so content, you're so great, you're so, you know, you're making moves, you're moving up in the world. You might present yourself as this very successful person who is, you know, has their ish together, has, you know, everything that they need, you know, and it's only going to get up from here. You might be a motivational speaker, or you might like posting those quotes, quotes on Instagram and stuff about like how, you know, you need to stay motivated and stuff like that. You might present yourself as someone who is very well off. You might present yourself as someone who is very fortunate, someone who is just doing the damn thing, is super successful. You might promote the law of attraction, you know, that kind of energy where you're like, yeah, I manifested this life, you can too, type of energy. You know, you just like to show off to people that you're doing well and you're doing good for yourself, and that things are coming to you very well. Things are, you know, moving very smoothly for you, and it can only go up from here, and it's only up from here. Very positive. That's what you want to show to the world, though. Let me just, sorry, I'm gonna do my camera. Can I do it? Can I do it right now, please? Yes, okay. This is how you really are. This card is how you really are in private. You might be an entrepreneur. I'm getting that you might be an entrepreneur, and you actually go through a lot of radical shifts and changes that, in your life. You know, things are always like changing. Things are always like drastically like crashing. It's dramatic. I would say it is very dramatic. Things are changing very, very dramatically for you sometimes, but you keep the appearance that, you know, it's a big up, because maybe you've had so many changes and so many setbacks that, you know, but you cannot be knocked down. I will say that you're a person who cannot be knocked down. You're going to stay positive. You're going to keep face, at the very least, that you're fine, you're doing fine, everything is fine, and it's only up from here. You might have gone through many challenging situations where, you know, you didn't know what was going to happen next, or like the change that happened with you was so dramatic that it really just rocked you off your, you know, off your center. But you still keep face as like, no, I'm fine, you know, I can bounce back from this, I'm good. It's only big ups from here. Like I'm knocked back down, but you know what, it's only big ups from here, mate. That's who you are in private. So I can sense that you're a very resilient person. You have to be a very resilient person to kind of have that attitude, or at least very stubborn. You might be a Sagittarius, or you might be a Taurus too, or maybe you were born in 1997, or 1937, or 1980, or you might be an ox. Ox, if you know Chinese zodiac. This is how you perceive yourself. So let's see. You perceive yourself as someone who is very fair, very beautiful, very balanced in emotion, balanced, or you might perceive yourself as someone who can be a bit codependent. But I think that you like to perceive yourself as someone who is very beautiful, very Venetian, very luxury oriented, very very flirtatious. You know, people are attracted to you. I can sense you perceive that about yourself with Libra. Yeah, that's all I'm getting from that. That's how you perceive yourself. You think you're attractive. You think you're a very maybe you attract things. You can attract things because maybe, like I said earlier, might be into the law of manifestation, the law of attraction, and you might say, yeah, I'm very attractive. Things are, you perceive that you are a very attractive person because that's how the law of attraction works. You have to already perceive yourself as very attractive, very abundant, you know, to attract the things that you want in life. But if not that, on like a higher level, then at a very lower level, you just think you're a very attractive person and love may come to you very easily. You might have a lot of boyfriends, you might have a lot of girlfriends, you might you have your pick of lovers, you know. And this is how the world perceives you, the world around you. This is how the world perceives you. Third house messages. The world perceives you as someone who is very talkative. Probably you post a lot on social media to flex, just to show how good your situation is. You might just be posting a lot, like very consistently, very frequently on social media. And I'm not talking like, you know, like once or twice. I'm talking like several times a day. Like posts onto your feed, onto your story, like you post a lot. Or you might be, people might perceive you as like some influencer, or you might be an influencer, you might be a motivational influencer on social media, or you're a journalist or something having to do with communication and writing. You just like to talk and you like to communicate with people, and you might post a lot. Yeah. Maybe people also find it very difficult to figure you out with the hieroglyphs. Like, they don't really know, like they have an idea, they see what it is, but they're not really sure like what's going on underneath the surface, like what's really going on, because you present yourself in such a manner to people, so they're not really sure like what's going on, like behind the veil almost. And this card is a blind spot. What you don't necessarily perceive about yourself, that is asking to come to light right now. Leo, I will. You have a big ego. Your ego is huge, mate. You have a huge ego. If you know, okay, so let's break down what an ego is, okay? Our ego is what we present to the world. It is the mask that we show to the world. It is how we choose to walk every day. When we decide to walk out the door and we say we have to, you know, look a certain way, that is our ego taking over, so we can just, you know, interact with people, be perceived in a certain way. That's ego. It's not a bad thing, but you have a very strong ego. Your ego is especially strong, and that might overshadow some authenticity. You might not see how inflated your ego is. And I'm not trying to humble you right now, but your ego is quite large, and it's very overpowering. It's very, I'm not going to say out of control, but maybe get a bird's eye view. I would say get a bird's eye view of yourself, and just you can't tell a Leo to dim their shine, but I don't think that you even realize, you don't realize how much ego is present in your everyday life, and how much you kind of rely on ego or the mask to get through every day, despite you going through very tumultuous times, seemingly often, you know. So yeah, I think I'm gonna cut it off here. I'm not getting any more messages. This was the shortest message of the day. Excuse me. If this reading resonated, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Tip me in the description box below. My information is down there. Have a good day, guys. Bye.